CIA and an Intercept of Politburo meetings led by President Gorbachev, January 1986. Politburo members, I used to consider President Reagan retarded. However, I cannot continue with such simplistic thinking. Communism in the USSR faces a number of problems you should all be made aware of. The Soviet economy is failing. Our people face many queues for food and many food shortages. The state-planned economy has failed the people. In my walkabouts around Moscow, I have heard that it is not uncommon for people to queue for 5 hours simply to buy bread. Many citizens are losing faith in communism, and the Soviet economy is clearly not performing as well as the American economy. The Cold War is draining the Soviet economy of its wealth, and the standard of living of our people is suffering. The war in Afghanistan and the arms and space race have drained our economy. We need to reform communism in the USSR and have two main strategies. The first I have called perestroika. CIA translation. This means economic restructuring. And glasnost. CIA translation. This means openness. We also need to try and decrease the competition between the USA and our styles, and I propose to do this through arms reduction talks and stopping our interference in our Eastern European satellite states. If the Americans continue with their so-called Star Wars program and are able to shoot down our nuclear weapons if launched from outer space, then we really are done for. We cannot compete with the amount of money the Americans are spending on their strategic defense initiative, and when we are spending our money in Afghanistan. How can we continue in this way, comrades? I must clarify that I do not want to see the end of the Soviet Union as a superpower, and nor do I want to be the last leader of the Soviet Union. But we must abandon the Brezhnev doctrine, and we must reform our system if we are to see the USSR continue. I plan to release dissidents and critics from jail. Books that were previously banned need to be published. People must know of the atrocities completed by the Stalin regime. We must be more open. I also plan to hold local government elections. I predict that if the West sees us making the changes that I have called glasnost and perestroika, along with moves such as releasing political prisoners, then it will also put pressure on Mr. Reagan. People in the West might start to see Reagan as the aggressor, with his Star Wars plan and calling us the evil empire. By making these reforms or changes, it could be a very useful strategy for putting pressure on President Reagan.